Welcome to Bogside Chats, where we're talking everything Dragon's Crossing and keeping it casual. My name is Matty Pesk. Tonight I'm joined by Franz. Bud, how we doing?
Doing great. Very excited. I didn't have anything prepared, so.
What do you think about that opening? That opening had a
That
different
was
there.
wild.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Talking about that on Twitter later.
Guy Kid probably is not joining us. I think there was like a slight chance he might jump on, but like probably not. I think he's hanging with family tonight. But in his place, we have some very exciting guests. For the first time joining the show, we have iOS Code, creator of DFK history, big time DFK guy, and now Dragon's Crossing. iOS Code, welcome. How you doing?
Hey, thanks a lot. Glad to be on with the Bogside crew. Yeah, I'm doing really good tonight. You know, wrapped up my last day of Dragon's Crossing play. So, I'm sure we'll cover that later. But it's been a good one.
Yeah, so tonight is a very special episode of Bogside Chats. We're going to be focusing on Dragon's Crossing, a different game than what we normally talk about here. We might be joined by Tad, too, a little bit later. I think he's running a little late, but he might jump on in a bit, which we're excited about. But today was the final day of Season 1 for Dragon's Crossing, which is another Web3 game, RPG. I mean, we don't need to explain like what the game is, but...
yeah, I feel like everyone's heard
everyone
of it.
knows. If you're tuning
but
in, you know
if people haven't, I mean, check it out.
Yeah,
great,
it's really cool.
Turn-based RPG. Very
really
strategic.
pulls a lot from D&D, which I like. Dice rolling and stuff like that. So,
and it's rogue style.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know what that means though, because I've never played.
I have heard people say that.
I don't. Well, we could talk about that later. I don't.
What is rogue style?
It's like, there's more character
Do you not
building.
Know?
Well, no, like in rogue style, it's like you're going from like battle to battle, and then like there's not as much character building as an RPG, and there's also not as many choices, which sort of this game there's not really like, it's like quest or heal, like that's it. Like it's not like open world.
It's like on their website, like rogue style on the homepage.
Yeah. But anyways, we're going to talk about Dragon's Crossing probably the whole time. I do want to up top here though mention some DFK stuff very quickly. There was they did the giveaway for the pets. There was like a pet snapshot / thing. I don't know what it was called, but I won a blue egg. Did you guys get anything? Did you check your wallets on that?
I have not.
Yeah.
I have a lot of pets though, so I'm hoping I got a few eggs.
Yeah.
I got something. I saw my address pop in there like towards the end, and I didn't check what it is yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, it was like some eggs and some treats, which was kind of cool. I think at this point I think we're in waiting mode in DFK. I think we're ready for the next phase, whether it's the bazaar or PvP. I feel like we're in the waiting phase though. There's not really much going on. There is, however, updates on something very cool called DFK history, which we are lucky to have the creator of here to talk about. So there's a recent update. So talk to us a little bit about the recent update to your site.
Yeah, do you want to share a screen so we can pull it up?
You can take over, I think, right?
Yeah, let me
I realized that we were talking about putting it up on the screen and none of us
did. We just talked about it, yeah.
We'll see if this works. Cool, we brought it up.
Excellent.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So initially when I built this, basically it just kind of allowed you to jump to a hero page and like kind of see, all the history about that hero. So I've been working for a while to add a feature or two to it. And now it looks a little different. So if you go to this homepage, basically there's two new features available. One is to be able to view any pet, and then also to view some player features. So basically I've added the ability to like join the site and connect your wallet and sign in to the site so that it can provide you a feed of like, all of your activities in game, like all of your personal history, across multiple wallets.
That's super cool.
So
kind of like a different spin on your other project, which Lila's Ledger, which kind of also shows you everything you do, but like, is this more like kind of...
Yeah, I mean, it's like with Lila's Ledger, it's like it's the history about like in financial terms of like what matters, like money wise, and then here it's more about like the history game wise, right?
Okay.
Because we're talking about level ups and stuff, which are more about game centric. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
super
so
cool.
so the player feature, if you go in there, I've already connected on here and signed in. But basically, when you go on here, you have two tools available to you: the player feed and grouped history. And the feed is the one that I spoiled on Twitter already. I kind of showed a little clip of what it looks like. But yeah, it just has like in chronological order from newest to
Yep.
oldest. It just has everything that you've done here. You can see I summoned this hero earlier.
And used a stone. Grady will be happy.
Yeah, I didn't get the insight jewel. You can see he's got his wood elf ears there, but yeah. But yeah,
This
this
is
just
cool.
goes back in history. As far you can scroll forever depending on how much history you have.
And those are the new graphics, right?
Yeah,
those
yeah.
new- yeah.
Part of this update, I also switched it over to the new hero graphics as well. So we got that little perk going on too.
Very cool.
That's very cool. Yeah. And then also, I mean, I think this was from an earlier update, but I do want to mention the DFK history. Didn't you incorporate it into ADFK's site? Is that true? I might be wrong on that.
Kind of, yeah. So like if you're on a hero page, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can. I have basically if you click on the hero from this page, it hops over to ADFK.
Oh, very cool.
Okay.
Like if you want to see more details, because I don't
Right,
go
yeah.
into like showing all the genetics and
No,
everything
yeah,
in my
yeah.
site. So yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to-
I've definitely used this before looking at history of like, especially my heroes that are like level 13 or 14, where I'm like, oh man, did I do strength the entire time on the level ups? Like I always
Yeah.
like want to check that and be like,
There's-
why does this guy have higher strength than another guy at the same level? And like that's how that's
Yeah.
how previously I've been using DFK history,
That's what I want to kind of like look back in the player feed and see like what was I doing when I first got in this game, like
Yeah.
because now I feel like we kind of all have our strategies figured out and like this is the right
Sure.
way. Like what kind of mistakes was I making thinking I knew exactly what was going on?
Yeah, and the other thing
yeah.
to consider with this too is like it's really, I've released this, as a basic feature, but it'll be interesting to see like what other ideas people have about, what might be useful, to add as a feature to the feed, like if you want to see like way back in time, it might be useful to say, hey, give me my feed from like this date in the past,
Yeah.
previous or something like that.
And
Well,
you go for it.
No, I was gonna say. So I actually this will be helpful for me because I bought a bulk of lesser atonement crystals, and not knowing which I haven't tracked well which heroes I've used them on. So it'll be nice to kind of go back and be able to see that somewhere as I'm like planning,
Yeah.
to use the rest of
Yeah.
them. Those are for sale, by the way, if anyone is
Oh, of
interested.
course. Oh, I mean, we haven't got to the sales portion of the
Yeah, well,
podcast.
gotta.
Is it just hero activities that you have for like the history stuff? Because I think like gardens would be interesting, of like your previous garden stuff that you put in the gardens when you pulled it and stuff like that. And I don't know if you have that in there yet, but
Yeah, that'd be more of a Lila's Ledger type of thing.
Right, yeah.
but yeah, so it's just heroes and pets on here as far as activities go.
it's still very cool. I definitely recommend people go check it out. And thanks for this little update on it. What's the group's history?
The grouped history is just like in case you want to see, like instead of a feed format, if you want to see specifically a certain type of thing in chronological order.
Oh,
like,
cool. Yeah.
if you're really looking for a specific, what was my last hatch or something.
Uh-huh.
The sales tab is going to be interesting to look at.
Yeah, here's
Sure.
heroes you've recently sold and
So-
pets too.
Yeah, and it has a date there, so when I see that I spent 200 crystal on a hero, I could look back to the date and see,
When-
oh, that was a lot of money. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is gonna not help my depression, but that's fine.
It'll help my accounting, but it will
Yeah.
not help my mental state. Very cool.
Yeah, the
Oh,
one
shit,
other
it has the artwork. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so the one other thing that, like I said, there's two main features. The second one is just being able to have any pet information here. So this is an example of, the pet view.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty basic. I mean, pets don't have as much information,
Right.
but you can see historical sales if there are any. And the one kind of neat thing I did too was with the gathering bonus information here. I kind of put in the built-in
cool.
information about how good is the bonus in the range of possible bonuses for this tier.
Oh, that's cool. So that one's dead
Okay.
middle there. If it's 30 to 40, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I like that because I feel like none of us really know the bonuses that well. To
No.
like for a while, I had that sheet up next to me, the pet
Yeah.
bonus
Right,
sheet,
right, yeah.
but that gets tired after a while. Dag's
Yeah, you
mentioning
can figure it out.
that he has an Excel sheet for all this stuff, so you don't have to manually be doing that anymore. I gave up on that a long time ago.
Yeah.
There was a time where I had
Mhm.
every sale and every
Guy Kid.
everything.
I'm pretty sure Guy Kid still does it.
yeah.
Maybe not every sale, but
Well,
he
he's a
has some
lunatic,
extensive
so.
spreadsheet work. I know he does. All right, this is awesome. This is very cool stuff, and we should mention because he's been sitting there for a while. Tad has joined the stream. Tad, welcome to Bogside. We're glad to have you back on the show. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Sorry I'm late. I was
Oh,
just
it's all
driving
good.
home. A little bit of
All
traffic.
good.
All right.
All good. Welcome.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking Dragon's Crossing for the most part, but we thought we'd take this little bit of time up front here to talk about some DFK stuff and look at DFK history now that we have iOS code.
Yeah, I like this because I don't have to I screenshot a bunch of my level ups, so I don't have to do that anymore. Hey, that's pretty good. I kind of
Fair.
stopped over the last 3 months and only on big mythic heroes. But,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that seems to be what everyone's saying is like, yeah, I used to do this very meticulously, but I stopped because my
Yeah.
God, it's especially when prices dropped and we all started doing more,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it used to be buying one hero was a big deal. And it's like, all right, I marked that. Now it's like, all right, I'll grab 20 of them. Like, you know,
Yeah, no, this is very cool. I highly recommend everybody check it out. Anybody? Yeah, I don't know.
well,
I don't
so
know how to segue. I need a better segue. I'm sorry.
I didn't win anything in the raffle. So
Oh, you
DFK
didn't?
is officially dead to me.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
That's dramatic.
Wait,
I
can
have
we stay
like
on
400
DFK?
pets.
Say
what's
that again, Tad?
I was like, can we stay on DFK real quick? Did you guys see what popped out today?
What popped out?
Mythic Dread Knight from Eco
Yeah.
Surfer. Yeah.
Eco
Oh
Surfer?
man, that guy makes.
Yeah.
Yep, he makes big heroes.
First one in the game.
First one. Wow.
Well,
Wow.
That's-
Any
Huge.
advanced or
Yeah, I think it had explosion on it.
no?
ooh.
That's insane.
I'm very scared to see what the dread ability is. Like it has to be like
It's
You win.
monumental.
two words. It's you win.
Yeah, right.
It's power word kill is like this ninth level
Yeah.
D&D spell.
Yeah, Maddie, your mic is giving you issues again. But I'm sure that was a very funny D&D joke that nobody
was, it
got
was
to
super
hear
funny.
correctly. Yeah, damn, mythic dread.
Yeah, I'll try to get the ID. Hold
I
on.
was making a joke about power word kill. I don't know. Is my mic back now?
Oh yeah, it was a lot funnier now that we heard it. That was it.
It's like a ninth level
Oh,
D&D
greater-
spell that's like literally point at somebody and kill them.
Bob's saying greater Agi stone on it too. So
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
That
going
makes-
to
on that.
that
on
makes
that-
sense.
Oh my god.
You want to make the I win ability happen before anybody else, right?
Exactly.
So you gotta
I
have
know,
that edge.
yeah. Yeah,
It was
that's the only way it
from
loses. If
uncommon
someone
and
sneaks
common.
in a move beforehand.
hmm
Um,
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, shout out to him. Does he have a guild association?
What are you
I don't
recruiting?
know.
Eco Surfer?
I don't know.
Yeah,
He
who-
might
is
be
he?
Degen Heroes. You know, they have
Yeah,
all
I
of the
would
super
check out.
whales.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, all those big,
All right, well-
big heavy hitters.
Mhm.
That's about all we had for DFK. There wasn't really much going on, but today we were going to talk about Dragon's Crossing. I'm pretty excited about this. I'm gonna talk about myself for about like 5 minutes here, but then I'll give it to you guys. I jumped into Dragon's Crossing like a week and a half into the season, and I only have one hero, and I pushed him to the end, and I got to zone 5, but I went to like the mini boss and didn't make it. That was about as far as I got like today, like in my last quest. So
The
before we get,
the zone 5 boss.
No, like the mini, like the boss
Okay.
of the zone, not the main boss. And I didn't beat him, which was ugly, but it was worth it because it was like my last quest of like the whole season, so it was kind of fun to like go for it at level 16. But basically, I was gonna ask you guys now, what is your personal journey? How many heroes do you have? Did you push all of them to try and win? Before we get into like strategy and ideas and stuff like that, just how are you guys approaching the game, and when did you come to it? Take your time.
Okay, I'll go. All right, I'll go first, I guess. All right, so yeah, my strategy was when I started out, I wanted to basically record every single day of gameplay, just so I had it as like a reference point if the season was kind of the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I went for the strategy of like, all right, I had 6 heroes, I think, at first, and I was like, all right, 3 of them I'm gonna start day 1, and I ended up starting 5 of them day 1 because I had just how it is, you want to play. So I wanted to go 3, and then three I could start later, but I ended up starting with 5 and then started 1 later, and I wanted to start that one like 4 days in. I ended up starting that one in day 2, so I had to mint another one. And started like a week later on that next hero, and that was the hero that I got into the top 3. But basically the strategy was learn from my mistakes on the first few heroes, and then the other heroes, all the mistakes that I make, I can basically utilize the minimal amount of quests basically, and then try to make the farthest push I could.
Tad, so you finished 3rd overall, so congratulations on that.
Yeah, that's huge.
Was that the hero, or was
it
that
was the one I started like day 7 in?
Oh wow, so it worked.
Yeah, it worked, and it would have worked better if it wasn't for these meddling RNG, but you know.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's something that I've been kind of going back and forth with, and I've actually wish Guy were here because we were arguing about it yesterday. The idea of starting late versus starting late or not, and what that does to you at the end of the season. Like I know a lot of people towards these last few days were struggling with the idea of not being able to use the end of day heal as much because they started late, things like that. So kind of balancing the two. You finished relatively early though with that late starter though, right?
Yeah, with that late start, because all right, I didn't do the no heal strategy. So
okay,
like that's why I think the next benchmark is going to be for next season is going to be like 220, because I didn't do the late heal strategy. I spent like a whole day questing just on the zone 4 boss, like a day and a half on the zone 4 boss. I fought the zone 4 boss on that account 3 times, on that hero.
Wow.
three times.
Like you ran away.
Yeah, ran away, had to re-heal the same day, and you know what I'm saying, wasted like so many quests on it. And so I'm like, me doing that, I know the biggest edge that Bloater even now, and Bloater hasn't announced like alpha at all, and he announced basically that about the orb alpha, which is basically, and that's probably where my my slight edge came from with the quest, because people were doing the heal with the daily reset instead of that, and I was just using the orb, and I probably saved like 20 quests overall with the orb, which is probably what you would save on if you just did the no heal strategy. So I assume the benchmark will probably go down to like 220 next season. So
yeah, the orb thing, and for anyone that doesn't know, the idea that if you don't participate in the orb, you just hit leave, you don't burn a quest. So that was, I mean, I was hitting it just like knowing
Is that a thing?
Yeah, see?
I didn't
So
know that.
I
Yeah,
found
I
out
got,
like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And
Oh my
apparently
God.
Tad's known all along.
Well, is it
No,
true? It's not true for Gambler, and
no, it's
No.
not.
it's just Orb, right?
just
yeah.
the
No, and it's
orb.
50-50. It's 50-50. It's not 100% with the orb either. It's about 50-50.
Oh, I didn't-
Okay, so that's what I was going to say, because it happened to me today where I did lose the quest. So is it supposed to be 50-50?
I think so.
Okay.
So. I noticed in
Okay.
day 3 because of the recording strategy, basically noticing. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah,
I just got a quest back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And it's funny because the orb is the one that I felt did nothing most of the time.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I don't know if
varies.
maybe that was just my experience.
Wait, we're already talking strategy.
Sorry.
The question was initial. Let's go. iOS code just initially. How many heroes are you going for the gold with all of them? What was your strategy for this season?
Yeah, so for me, I minted 3 heroes, and then I saw one on Open Sea for like a steal, so I picked it up as well for like 0.1 ETH. So I ended up with 4. And yeah, I kicked off, right off the bat, playing them all, and on day 1. So yeah, and I, not necessarily, I was exploring the game, and
Right.
Obviously I
Season
assumed I
1,
wasn't
yeah.
place 1, 2, 3, 4 with them, but I was just maybe more of a more moderate strategy of, I want to do well with all of them, but I also want to maximize my quests and maximize taking advantage of the increased drop rates for season 1. Try to get the most stuff I can.
And did you beat the final boss with any of the 4? Or?
2 of them, yeah.
Nice.
How did you do on drops? I mean, question for both of you. Were you finding a lot? Because I know there were some people in the Discord that were not, and were complaining about it.
Yeah, I think I did better than definitely some of the people that were saying like they're getting almost nothing. I think I ended up looting like 3 shards throughout the season total.
Oh wow!
And then skill books. I feel like I didn't get a ton of skill books. I probably got like 5 or 6 maybe at the most.
Okay.
That's a ton. I mean,
yeah, that's a lot.
I had
from 4
heroes.
Well,
Yeah,
I guess you're right. I had 1 hero and I got 1 skill book. That's it, which I think is
okay.
still pretty solid.
Maybe
I think that's around average for this season.
Yeah. So.
Was it a good skill?
Yeah, Ice Tomb.
Oh, right.
Ooh, okay, it was a 15 skill. Okay, yeah, that's a good skill.
But he's a ranger, so I got to make a decision. But
I died with a level 15 skill book in my inventory.
Me too.
Without printing it or whatever.
No, without camping.
Oh.
Me too. And I thought it would never happen to me. And
no, right? Exactly.
I did it on the boss, and it was like I was like, okay, I could go back and camp, but I'm like, if I do that, I'm gonna push like 15 quests on this benchmark, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. And then it was like 20 HP to 20 HP, and it was just man.
Oh.
Well, that was the same thing I was thinking. So this was after I had printed the high score, and I was still in first at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking like, all right, I'm gonna get another one on the leaderboard. If I go back to camp now, I'm gonna be wasting half a day. I was like 2 away from a level up. I was like, all right, if I could just get these 2 more in, then I'll go back for the level up, camp, like optimal, efficient. No, didn't work. Bit me in the ass.
Interesting. Well, and before, again, we're already talking strategy, but Franz, give me your quick breakdown.
Yeah, I'm gonna add Guy to the stream real quick.
And,
we made him wait long enough.
There he is.
Oh, that's a good sign.
What is this guy? Come on. There you go.
All right. No. So Guy.
Ignore him. Go.
I feel like this was a mistake.
Don't mind me. Keep going.
No. So I finished early. I was
on that first one, right?
I had glory. I called my grandma. She was so proud of me. Everything was great in the world. And then everyone started overtaking me one by one. I finished 5th. I thought I was gonna fall further. But yeah, I got a little cocky and a little on tilt with some of my other heroes. So I actually wrote it down. How many
did you start with though?
So I minted 6.
Ooh, okay.
And then I've made some trades. And we can get into this later as far as like strategy, but I was looking to, before I started teaching skills, I was looking to get heroes that I was comfortable with their stats, where like if I teach them a skill, I'm not going to look back in a month and be like, oh, this hero's kind of crap, I wasted a skill on him.
And you mean, sorry, I'm not to interrupt, but you mean the initial stats, like not like mid-season stats.
Yeah, I mean like
initial,
the base stats, like going forward, because it was actually on one of these pods a week or 2 ago that we realized that level doesn't carry over, so that was fun.
No.
I thought that it was, anyway.
They're all gonna be wiped back to level 1.
No, so I finished
2 days or whatever. Yeah.
Right, I finished 5th, 90th, 267, 269, 303. 484, and then there was a 719. That the 484 and the 719 started very late.
Okay.
So they were like level 9s that just I was trying to push as far as possible.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of
I
deaths.
should say my guy was 151.
151.
That's where I finished. Yeah, and I didn't even get the mini boss of the Zone 5. So like, you know.
Yeah, I was trying to make a push for Dark Tower with those last 2, and died in the process trying to like. Where like I had to push it. It was the idea of like I'm not gonna make it there if I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a lot of fun. I don't know. We talked a little bit, Maddie, and I don't know how much you want to get into this, but
yeah,
we were skeptical about this game, and
Yeah.
maybe I don't want to speak for you, but I was hesitant to jump in. Once I did, my whole perspective changed. I love it. It's great.
No, I think I'll just talk about it briefly. Is like that's one reason why I think I was a week and a half late. You know, I wasn't like an initial. I kind of had like a prove it attitude of like, hey, I want to see it. I want to see what's going on. And then like, you know, you guys were you and Guy Kid were chatting about it like constantly, and I saw some other videos, and I was like, oh, it actually like delivered on a lot of things they said it was going to do, and the D&D flavor of it, like I loved. So I definitely think that's why I was late, was because I was kind of like, all right, prove it, and I think they did, you know, because I think it had a lot of hype like prior. Maybe that's just our small community, but but I was like, you know, I want to see it before I jump in, and I think after seeing it, I was really impressed, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Were you iOS Code and Tad? Were you guys like kind of skeptical at first? Were you like, oh, I'm gonna mint a bunch right off the bat, I can't wait? What was kind of the outlook going into this?
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I was super skeptical. I think I probably wasn't gonna mint up until I was basically planning on just trying to get a whitelist and flip it up until, because I didn't have a whitelist up until the day of, and I was just like, I think the day before they were doing a bunch of spaces where they were giving out whitelists, and I was just like, okay, let me try to get one there, and I got one there, and I was like, the reason why I minted was it was an ogre on a Crypto Grady stream. And he mentioned, I'm like, it was crazy because I was just like, wow, you know, this makes so much sense. And I was just like, they were like, why? It was like, okay, they're marketing towards the DFK community, right? And then it was like, okay, Ogre was basically like, if you had something, and wouldn't you market to your own community where you came from? And I was like, okay, that makes so much sense. I mean, I was just like, I was just like, I mean, if it's good, I'll play it eventually. But I was just like, you know what? Let me just try it and be open-minded. And then I'm glad I did it, because I kind of like the aspect of trying to be, you know what I'm saying, trying to outthink the game. So,
yeah, it is very interesting in that I think while there is a leaderboard and there's an aspect of, you know, you're fighting or you're compared to other people on the leaderboard, I really think it's very much of like, here's a challenge. How do you best handle it? Which is a super fun kind of way to do games in general. I really like that of like, it's out there for everybody. It's like, who could do it the best, you know? And it's not like, and we are versus each other kind of, but like, I don't know. I think it's really fun how they formatted it. I like it a lot.
I think that's what was maybe most like, or what I was like most like questionable about, I guess, was like the format of the gameplay, just like having like the season, and you're like just competing to like get to the boss the fastest, you know. I just didn't know like how that'd work, you know?
Right.
Because I just in my head, I'm just like, I just want to like play a dungeon crawler and like hack and slash and like get awesome loot. And I guess that's kind of like the open play concept that might come later. But yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was fun to try this different mode.
Yeah, and so I think, and Guy, are you there? I don't know if you're there or not.
Yeah, what's the deal here?
Yeah, I'm driving, so I'll be at my computer in about 5 10 minutes.
Why did you join? Why did you join then? Okay, all right.
Franz is manipulating what Tad said, and so I felt the need to jump on.
Wait, really?
All right, hold on. Coming in hot. All right.
Yeah.
Where did I say?
Do you want to go there now, or do you want to wait? Because I can fight on camera too.
Yeah, do it on camera, and I'll just preface now saying Guy was at a work event and has had a few cocktails, so anything he says.
Don't say. Just say he's driving. Well, whatever. Regardless. I think one interesting thing I think is so for this whole season, again, I started late, but I had one hero, and I think my gameplay experience is way different than having multiple heroes. I think that's like number one big difference, because I think there are a lot of people who are playing this with just one, especially based on the min price was a little high. I'm not gonna lie, I think it was a little high, but I'm still very excited. I don't think that was like a huge detriment, but I think that the gameplay of playing with one hero versus playing with multiple is like significantly different. Because the idea of like, when do you go back and trade your items and stuff like that is like a whole level of strategy that I didn't have to think about the entire time when I was playing. It was just hope I get some good loot on this next attack, you know?
I think that's less important than maybe it seems from your perspective.
Yeah.
Just for me, like playing with 4 heroes, like I've used shared stash maybe twice early in the
Interesting.
game. Like
Okay.
after that, never.
It's an early game function, agreed.
Yeah.
Unless you
And-
talk to Grady, he was doing it towards the end of his run.
Well, when you've got like 37 heroes, like you got
That's a good
more-
point. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah.
So I
think-
guess there's my question then is, do you think they should change that more so that they're because like all right, so just a side note, Heroes of Might and Magic. I don't know if any of you guys played that game, but Heroes of Might and Magic had a super cool kind of map where your heroes were all around the map, and they had a cool function where they could find each other on the map and exchange items, and then both go separately wherever they wanted to go on the map. And I loved that idea of like you could literally have a mule, like you're one guy who just like took the good items from point A to point B to like bring them to the heroes who were out in the in the good area like fighting.
That'd be cool.
So I feel like I want to use that strategy for Dragon's Crossing next season. I think I'm either going to buy a shard or maybe I'll mint another one. I still haven't decided. I have what 48 hours to decide. But can that strategy be used of having a go-between hero who is just kind of muling the items back and forth? Like, is that even possible, or is it such a small window of the gaming that it's not really a good strategy?
Yes, it's possible, and that was you see Citron, the person that was on that basically went for the Ranger kill today with Doug's stream. He went for the Ranger kill for the number one, and he missed it at 17.
Wow.
He mentioned that strategy in the beginning before the game even started.
Yeah.
And he basically said that's what he was going to do. And he was like the top person is going to use that strategy. He said it, and he almost, you know what I'm saying? I mean, almost doesn't count anything, but you know what I'm saying? He had enough. The strategy worked into the point basically, but he just got cut off in time wise.
Right.
So because he had like what a 251 benchmark.
I mean, that could have shaken a couple different roles. He could have been number one right now, So that's interesting. And what was he going? How many zones out was his mule going? I guess that's the question.
I don't know personally, but me personally, I use the share stash a lot this season. I used it way more than I would have liked, but I do have like 5 heroes in the top 75. So it ended up working just because my strategy was the first season. After the first day, when I heard about like 15 people talking about how they camped early, I was just like, okay, this is going to be a lot of noobs in this game, so I can actually play a little bit slower. And I was just like, okay, I thought everybody was like hardcore, and I was like, I was the noob. But then
that was something that like iOS Code was talking about. Is like you want to just, especially season 1, you want to feel out what's going on and like just do it all, and maybe not necessarily go for number 1 right away, and just kind of feel out how the game is played and stuff like that. I think many people are probably doing that,
Well, I kind of was going with the similar mentality of Tad, where I was like, I'm the noob, there are going to be some hardcore gamers here. I didn't think I had a shot of being anywhere near the top of the leaderboard, so I was kind of, just feeling it out. And then it got to a point,
right?
It got to a point where I looked at it and I was like, I'm pretty close here. Like maybe I should start being a little more careful with every move. So yeah, but so Tad, you use the shared stash a lot. Would you say it was a lot during the beginning, or are you talking like later zones?
So I overused it a lot in the beginning, and I wasted so much. I probably wasted like probably a day of quests in the beginning using it, just because I didn't know the power spikes. But it's so weird sharing stuff like this because of the way the game is. But it's like I think people have shared so much in this game. Like season 2 is going to be a bunch of RNG because everybody knows the best strategies now. But you have to, once you understand certain zone power spikes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to basically have those zone items like pushed back to your other hero. Example, right? When I started on that week, that warrior, the day 7 warrior that was day 7 in, I had basically transferred. I basically went back with my other warrior, gave him the busted shield with that rolled crit on it. It rolled like the D4 +2, and then and then gave him like hella armor. And my theory was, I didn't even know about the don't heal meta. My theory was, if I have good enough armor, I won't need to heal.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically was level 1 on that hero, and I basically pulled out everything. I basically spent the whole day pulling out everything, and I started down like 12 quests, basically pulled out like 6 items, 4 and 2, and it started out basically. So by the time he was level 12, he basically had the best gear possible at level 12. And I did it on like 3 heroes. So I sent back like 3 heroes and gave the best possible gear for that guy. So when he was level 12, he was just steamrolling everything. I probably used 1 heal every, you know what I'm saying? And that's basically like don't heal it. That's basically like not healing because and that's, but it's the certain, if you figure out the perfect power spike to where the items are really good, because you kind of don't need to do that in zone 1. You don't need to really do it in zone 2. But once you get to like zone 3 and you need, you know what I'm saying, you hit that 12 power spike, and then you can push through the adventuring guild in zone 3. That was the biggest power. That was the biggest like
huge checkpoint, like
milestone.
Like,
yes, exactly. If you can push through there without going back, and you get there, that's basically what sets your bar for this season. For this season.
It's kind of ironic because, like, I mean, if you think about like what you're saying, Tad, is like because you had 3 extra heroes to like, you know, mule loot for your one guy, it's kind of a pay to win mechanic, which is what the team is really trying to avoid. So it feels to me like their tendency is going to be to like make the shared stash like, you know, not easier, possibly harder, or tweak it in some way maybe.
Man, it's so funny because if you looked at the poll and then the discussion that everybody had about the shared stash, I was saying the shared stash is busted. People were like, I don't even use it. It's not really that good. Put it in zone 3. Put it in like, I'm like, put it in zone 5. I'm like, yo, this is nuts because at that point I'm like, I was like zone 4 and I was on pace for number 1, and I'm like with like 170 benchmark in, and I'm like maybe 150, maybe even less. But I know I was on a great pace until I basically fought the boss 3 times, and I'm like, nah, I don't know. And then Citron went silent, and he's not really talking much because, and I'm like, he was the one that mentioned, oh, use the shared stash is probably going to be the best thing, and Sandwich Punch, he kept hinting towards it. He was like, in the beginning on the stream, he did. And in the beginning, he was like, man, I wish I could tell you guys the secret about, for you guys to have a lot of heroes. And I'm like, there's only one real secret. That's it's a shared stash.
Yeah, once you say a lot of heroes, it's like, well, I think I can figure that out.
Yeah. Like, what you gonna say? Oh, yeah, I don't know. So I was just like, yeah.
Yeah, the mentality of having to waste, 5 quests in a day to go back, or however many it ended up being more when you think about the actual 2 to put in, that just messed with me mentally. Like I felt like I was giving up so much where it probably was the right move and the most kind of like EV positive move, but I just couldn't get past it. So I didn't use the shared stash after the foul waste.
Well, there's also like, in season 2, there's going to be Rift heroes, right? So like, that introduces a scenario where, okay, now you have something that costed you less that can be a mule. So it's like, it makes it even more likely that people might want to take advantage of that.
Well, this brings up an interesting topic and something I do kind of want to mention. And I don't know if you guys aren't, we'll see how you respond to this, but I find it very interesting that quests are like a resource, or the way they're used are kind of like, I don't want to say currency, especially because we're in blockchain and like that has a lot of meaning, but like the way quests are designed in this game, it is sort of like something that you have to give value, you have to assign a value to it. And this is something I think Bob Nothing would be good at doing, of like, what is the value of one quest? Like if you have to travel, or if you like, what are the odds on, getting something in a fight, or getting a random encounter that leads to, berries? Like there's probably an equation somewhere out there that someone smarter than me can figure out, of like, what is the value of one quest? So it is interesting. And in Franz, I totally understand what you're saying, of like, it feels bad, losing those quests, because it's your resource. It's like what you have to play the game. And I think it's a really cool game design. I think it's really fun, and like, it stresses me out, but also I'm like, oh, this is cool the way they've done it. I think it's really interesting. Do you guys think of the quests as like a resource like that, or is it just kind of like your heroes? I don't know. How, like, do you think of it that way? I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
Definitely a really cool and novel part of the game, I think. I think it is, like Ren Pen Acoustics is saying, though, it's kind of a weird name for what it is. So
right, yeah.
I need a rebranding, I think, but
yeah, I agree.
I mean,
I agree.
Not to. I mean, I know DFK. They probably want but like stamina would probably be a better way to describe it. You know, like like
stamina, actions.
Yeah, I like
I mean,
Right.
any of those work. But yeah, quests. It feels a little different using them. I think it's also going to be interesting next season. I mean, we do have some changes coming, right? It's even though season 2 is going to be kind of a mirror of season 1 as far as like the paths and stuff go, we're going to have the idea of durability on weapons, and we're going to have the idea of junking weapons or junking equipment for a quest. I think they said 10 items get you 1 quest.
Oh, that's
and
awesome. I didn't
yeah,
know that.
and we've talked about this before, that like it really doesn't change anything towards the game, right? Because it's still the least amount of quests. If you have 1 more in a day, it doesn't change that. But I mean, it's the psychological aspect of it, of I can do more today, you know?
Well, and also I think stuff like like, you know, your last day, last ditch effort. That would be an interesting idea of. Like,
That's a good point too.
you know,
Yeah,
save
going
them
back
up
to-
for that last day where you need
Well, that's where it is important.
one more
yeah.
attempt at the boss. You know, like.
Mm-hmm. Hey, guy.
Yeah, Guy. How are you? How was the work event? Was it good?
It was fun. Good time.
Okay, great. What do you have to? What fire do you have to spit here? What's going on?
So Tad was talking through his strategy of he had 6 heroes, right? And you're gonna launch 3 heroes day 1 and 3 heroes day 7, right, Tad?
Yeah, 3 heroes day 1 and like 3 heroes late. I think I planned for like day 5, and then I didn't get
Everyone else here in Tad's echo?
Tad,
Yeah, Tad, you have an echo. I was gonna
echo
message
that
you.
Hold on.
jumped up out of nowhere.
But yeah, he said basically that's yes.
Yeah. And so I feel like I'm leading the witness here, but we'll keep asking questions. Tad's general strategy here was he wanted to wait 7 days because he wanted to learn how to play the game. Like that was basically the point of the delay. Like anything else from a strategy perspective, Tad, that you were trying to figure out why you wanted to wait 7 days for some of these heroes? Was it just the learning curve aspect, or was there anything else strategy wise you were thinking of? Leading the witness.
Wait,
but
let
we'll
me see.
continue.
Do I have still have echo?
You sound
Yeah, you're
good.
good now.
Sound good, yeah.
Okay. All right, yeah. It was that, and I knew if I were to use the shared stash, like if I plan to use the shared stash later, I would basically be easier because I'll be starting in zone 1, and then I could basically pull the heroes back and
You
then.
need those guys to get ahead a little bit
Yeah,
for that to be useful,
ahead.
basically. Yeah.
So this big debate that Franz and I have is Franz feels it'll be an optimal strategy to wait a couple
Oh, let's not
days.
go into what I think the optimal
Yeah,
strategy will be
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Let's,
All right. You
Go on.
you
Objection,
wanna
Your
share
Honor.
piece
Objection.
first?
no,
What,
go
so
ahead.
what
I'm
do
sorry.
you think in strategy is going to be for you season 2?
No, and I didn't phrase it as in I'm right and Guy was wrong, and here's why. We were
You
having
say
an
that a lot,
argument
though. You do
about,
say that a lot in
um,
general.
He happens to be wrong a lot. No, no, but just the idea of starting late to use the shared stash, and then that kind of juxtaposed with the idea of starting early and being able to use the end of day heal more because you have more days, right? If you start late, those 7 days late, or however many days you start late, that's limiting the amount of times that you can say, I'm going to forego the herbalist and just, let these 5 extra quests, these 10 extra quests even, just slip away. But then towards the end, you start to get into that crunch. And I felt that with a few heroes that started late, where it's like, I'm just not going to make it to the final boss.
Yeah, my warrior ended up finishing like 14th or 16th. I don't know exactly where he landed. I didn't get a chance to check. Is the leaderboard
Overall.
still posted?
No, you can't access them.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't
So
have
this,
the top 10
morning
written down.
when I beat the boss, he was 14. So I don't know if I dropped it all. But I ran into the time crunch aspect at the end of I was trying to use that end of day heal. But since my warrior started, like, I want to say it was like 6 or 7 days into the month of, if I didn't use all my quests throughout the course of the day, I was not going to be able to stay at pace and actually complete the final boss. So I definitely felt that time constraint aspect of it. So I'm thinking through strategies for season 2, and I can't see any benefit of not starting all of your heroes day one and at least starting some of the quests. And maybe you have some heroes that you don't use the herbalist day one and you just use that end of day heal. But I think from an overall strategy perspective, I'm probably going to start all my heroes day one. And that's what Franz and I have been going back and forth on.
The thing about that, though, is that if they do change it up a lot, you can get so much information off of just not like going ahead. Like, all right, if you watch Kung Fu stop this because I'm pretty sure he realized how much alpha he was giving off. And I told people, I put it in Gen Trap, like new players, if you really just want to just have the most optimal strategy, just literally watch Kung Fu's vid and do everything better than him. And you literally beat him by benchmark because of what he's doing. And It's like he's giving out literally everything. He's giving out so much sauce in there, and he's basically showing you what he's doing. All you have to do is get the same or close to the same gear, and you know what I'm saying? He's even, when he makes a mistake, he's like, oh, I should have done this. It's like, so you can just watch it and be like, you can literally do a playthrough.
I have a quick question that I saw from one of his videos.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is out there, and if it is, I apologize, and I'm just dumb, but is critical damage 2x? Is that what critical damage is?
I think it's 1.5, right?
Okay, because he was going into battle saying the boss has a whatever range to like 60 was the max, and so he says I never want to be at 120 because if the boss crits, I'm in his range, and I just was assuming he knew what he was talking about, and that crit is 2x. But do we know the formula for like when you critical hit? Like, is it just 2 times damage, or is there some? Is it? It sounds like you said it was 1.5. And also follow up. How would I find that information?
I don't think you can find it.
Yeah.
Tag JB or Bloater and pray they give you information. But I think I think enemies are 2x and ours is 1.5 because I don't think I've ever crit and done 2x. But it might be 2x though. I haven't really paid attention to that, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's also something, side note, that we could talk about too, that I think the team has done a very cool job, or cool may be the wrong word. It's interesting how some of it has been like, a lot of it has been very straightforward and transparent, and sort of like how they work and how the business aspect of it works. They've been very transparent, but a lot of the gameplay stuff, they've kind of held some of that close to the chest, which I think is kind of fun, you know?
Yeah.
That idea is, dude, like new skills were being found up until this last week, you know? Like, so I think it is a very cool
I used that word before and I used it correctly and eloquently, and you just screwed it up.
Juxtaposition of their transparency, but also they're holding some of the gameplay. It's interesting, and I think and I give them props because I think they're doing a very good job with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there should be some things that aren't known,
right?
And I think the fact that, and this could get into a much larger Web3 versus Web2 discussion, but this isn't all on the blockchain. If it were, we would know the exact answers to this, and we'd be able to find an exact formula for all of it, you know, which mobs are the hardest, which you should flee from, which you should definitely fight because they're super weak, you know, who has parry, I think they said, who was it? The female mob in Zone 5 that's like kind of shrieking at
like
you,
a siren type thing. Yeah.
I think they said that was like the only mob in the game that doesn't have any armor mitigation, just has like a lot of dodge or something like that. That might be incorrect. It was something to that effect.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay, good. But yeah, like things like that it's better that we don't know, and if it were all on a blockchain, we know it all.
I think soon, or maybe not, maybe we could start it right now, but like someone's going to make a wiki, like just like not someone associated with the team, just like a third party.
But it's not live in that sense. If it's a wiki of like, you can store the data from fights, but it's how many fights do you need to capture in order to get that information? I mean, APIs are a thing in gaming. Like,
we have someone who probably could answer this question a little bit better.
So, like, yeah, I can definitely defer to the expert, but like on like the non-Web3 side, like you can have an API and pull that information. But iOS code, curious to hear.
APIs are only a thing if they're open and available for the public to access them. So it's up to the team whether that's even a thing.
Interesting. And then just for the purposes of my intellectual curiosity here, it only becomes an NFT. It only becomes minted when you camp and it moves into your inventory. Are there any other blockchain interactions that are happening when you're playing? other than those items being minted, and then the initial mint of the heroes. Otherwise, it's all just the game server, right?
It's a very low gas.
It's interesting. I mean, should DFK be taking notes?
No, I do want to.
It's a different game, yeah.
I do want to pull this back up real quick because I think we
this is
buried the lead a little bit by not.
Shout out, yeah.
By not congratulating Ductorus, who's in the chat right now. Not only number 1,
but
not only number 4, but also number 6 in the top 10. That is awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. Shout out. We're gonna kick your ass next season, but
yeah,
you got it this time.
Didn't that person say they just like rented a house next to Bloater or something?
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Yeah,
it's actually Bloater. It's Bloater, yeah.
But shout out to everyone. Ductorus, Maori Chief had the top 4 heroes for. I know Tad was watching that too. For a lot of the season, did very well. Fitz, 2 in the top 10. So everybody here.
And congrats to the 2 that are here. We got Tad at 3rd and Franz at 5th.
Skip Tad, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to toot my own horn, but
there we go. Nice job, guys.
So I'll take.
You know what's crazy about this too? If you probably didn't do that 17, like the benchmark, we probably the lowest benchmark would have probably been like 280 plus 290. I think people were gonna go to like level 19 or 20 before they started. It's like it put the pressure on so many people.
Totally.
You know, that next day it was like 20 deaths in the Discord of just people dying. It was just honestly that's probably the reason why like a lot of people are getting like super high. Like I have like a 330 benchmark or something of like when I wasted a lot of shared stash in the beginning. I'm like, why is this hero like rank 45? Like that's pretty good for wasting a bunch of stuff. Like
and that I mean. We've talked about this, Tad, a little bit, but like I do think that I did that a little too early. As far as like not level wise, but I should have waited a few days before kind of printing that and putting it out there. I think a lot of people went and died, but then a lot of others were like, okay, this is doable here. Like let me kind of be a little bit more careful going forward and see where I can kind of finish.
I agree.
Well, all right, that brings up an interesting topic I want to bring up. What skills did your heroes have, especially Tad and Franz, these ones that made the top 10? What skills did those heroes have? And also just opinion on skills in general. What are our thoughts? My guy who I said I ended up like 151. I never put any skills on him. He was just standard, came with those main 2, Ranger. So what did you guys have on those ones, and do you happy with that? Do you think there was other skills you could have used that would be better? What are our thoughts on skills in general?
Hot take. Regretfully, I would have sold every single skill I got if I knew better.
Wow.
Now, the reason why I say that is because my whole strategy in the beginning of the game, I was just like, I'm going for a slow game. I'm trying to get, the top 20. I'm trying to get that $38, $28 payout.
Yep,
and
I know what you're talking about. Yep.
I got a lot of $38 off of this, right? The freaking top, 75.
Yeah.
But honestly, I would have been happy with the $28 payout. I would have made more money selling all the skill books, even without getting top 3. Like, because the game is relatively small, it's like the skill books kind of are more money, but we love competition, so we want to get as high as possible, right? We don't really care about money. I mean, we play DFK, but it's like, so it's like, so we love the fun.
We hate money.
Yes, we love the fun and competitive aspect of it, and that. So it's like, but realistically, if you're like coming in this game and you're on some like, I want to enjoy the game but still profit and try to make profit, just selling everything you get is probably the best way, because you can still kill the boss. You could have just went to 19 or 20 and killed the boss. Yeah. Still got like an $18, $28 probably payout if you know what I'm saying, if you didn't waste a bunch of quests, and it would have still been a solid finish. But
yeah, I think it's definitely a good thing to consider, especially in season 1. I mean, if you think about how the seasons will progress, skill books should inflate quite a bit. And I think now is the time where supply of everything is the most constrained that it will ever be. So unless you're like really just want to maximize everything and try to do the best. It's good to considering if you're someone that's minted a few Gen 0 Genesis heroes and spent hundreds of dollars, it's like, why not offload a few books when they're worth a lot and just minimize it a little bit.
No, so I think that's definitely the right take, but if I could juxtapose real quick. No, is that not, that's not the right way to, okay.
Whatever.
No, so I do think long term, absolutely right. But I also think that towards the beginning of season 2, I think there are a lot of players in the community that only have 1 or 2 heroes, and Maddie, like you were saying that the mint price was high, but would be very ready to get in with more heroes and see the value of playing with a larger army once the shard heroes start coming. I'm kind of seeing the shard heroes, or the, what are we calling them, rift heroes?
Rift heroes, yeah.
I think we might see a little bump in them in the beginning, a little bit of higher price, and I think the people that get those might want to put some skills on them. But I think it's going to be a very short window. Like, I agree with iOS Code that, like, yeah, long term, I mean, we've all been playing DFK. We know how this goes, right? The longer something goes on. But yeah, I'm excited to see.
Will there be increase in player base that offsets the increase in supply, and it comes back to the same DFK combo?
Right. I think the current player base can sustain it for a little while because people want more heroes.
And even overall, even if it does increase, like, you got to consider, like, a hero can only have so many skills. So, our heroes that have played in this season, within a couple seasons from now, they're going to have all the skills they'll ever need on them, and they'll continue to loot more skill books. So eventually there's going to be more than people need.
Yeah.
Now, so what is the skill cap for, like, skills you can learn?
6.
Yeah. And then Rift heroes are the same, I'm assuming, right? That's the same for Rift heroes? Okay.
So can we, and I think I heard someone say this the other day, it might have been Tad on your, I know Kung Fu and Doug were doing the tier list. So everybody go check that out if you haven't. But can you teach over a skill?
No, you have to delete it.
Oh,
you have to delete the skill if you want to learn it.
I didn't even think that would be an option. Like,
okay, so that's what I mean by, like, teach over it. Like, like replace one that's already there. So like, I'm saying, like, I'm thinking like grapple is going to be, again, skill rework, we'll see, but I think that's going to be a candidate that a lot are looking at as, like,
I already deleted it.
Do away interesting if those
you deleted it already?
Already. I have, like, on my warrior, I have Berserk, I have Blade Form on the one that is number 3, I have Rending, I have Thunderous, and I have Run Like the Wind plus Overhand, because that's what I'm saying. You really only need two skills, and so I was I was labbing stuff, trying to, see the best possible option, and it's like you realize some of these skills are garbage, and even if some of the skills are good, you don't want to have all of them. You just want to have 2. You're only we don't have enough skill points for it to have more.
So that's interesting. So you wrote over one of the initial skills.
Mm-hmm.
And are those skill books? Can you find skill books of the initial skills?
No, which is probably
interesting.
So when grapple gets buffed big time,
Well, is that going to make it really rough for, like, when your hero's level 1 again, because you don't have any skills you can use?
I have Overhand Chop.
He still has, overhand chop. So
nobody used grapple. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and the playthrough is pretty easy on the warrior in the beginning, even without Overhand Chop.
Mm-hmm.
So
I thought that too when they came out and said there's 3 classes. I was like, I only want a warrior because warrior is gonna be able to do the early levels just because he's hit points bruiser with no, like, he doesn't need equipment or spells to be good. He just by default is gonna be a little bit better. And I know we want to talk about that a little bit later about, like, which class is best, but I thought that, even prior to the game coming out, I was like, if there's only 3 classes, you're gonna want the martial, the fighter guy, because he's gonna be able to handle the early levels, easier.
Yeah, overtuned warrior.
I mean, a ranger won the season.
A ranger won the season.
That is interesting.
With tremendous patience, though. Like, Dr. Taraz was nowhere on the list, and he said no heal. And I'm just thinking, there's no way I'm playing these whole seasons doing 8 quests a day.
No.
Like, it's like, I don't know. You know how much patience you have to play. You have to just come
Let
back
me
and
tell you,
see.
it's
the
insanely
discipline
hard with
aspect
one
of it,
hero. It's
Yeah.
insane to like be done at like 7 and be looking at the thing. It's like 7 of 15 remaining, and you're just like, I'm done for the day. Like,
Yeah, I
that's
don't.
so
I don't
annoying.
see how you do that. I mean, I guess it makes sense, and now you're gonna have to do that to be super competitive.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now, but it's just like that's why the suggestion I think Kung Fu put, he was like, "Yo, make it so there's no daily heal." The only reason why I wouldn't say that. I would say the same suggestion I suggested in the beginning of the game was just 2-week seasons, 30 quests. So if you're gonna do the no heal, you have to make a decision, and you have to heal. You have to do no heal at like 22 quests.
I also would be interested if they did a scaled, so it's a 23-hour window, but what if it was 1 quest per hour and it was 15 hours? And you had to make a decision of like, when are you going to go?
I honestly really liked the timing format because you could play the same time every single day.
Sure.
And it'll shift a little bit, and there's just a point where it's like it resets
it
to the
converts.
next day.
Yeah.
But it gives you that flexibility of like it's not like the hey, I need to log in because if I don't log in now, I'm going to lose all my quests.
Well, so that the timer was the hardest part for me towards the end because of my 7 heroes, 3 of them I got from other people, so the timers were completely different. And one of them I just started like late. I minted it because I had run out of quests and for the day and wanted to play more. So like it was trying to figure out like, all right, who do I have to do when? And then like it was very stressful.
I didn't think of it from the multi-hero aspect of it.
Guy, how many you missed that part of the pod? How many heroes do you have?
So I minted 3. I got 2 warriors and a ranger. One of my warriors was 10 charisma, and then the strength and quickness was whatever. So I ended up selling that pretty much at floor. And
that's the one. We got so mad. I was texting.
No, you did. It was a 16 strength.
16, what? 10, and 10.
No.
Yes, I yelled at you.
Oh my god.
We'll have to go back and look at that.
I have
Did I sell the wrong of my 2 heroes?
History. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. iOS code get going.
Yeah. But that might actually be because I think my current warrior has better stats than that one. But if I had 16 strength, I wouldn't have sold it at floor. Maybe I did. These guys know I get pretty
so you sold
with this
wait,
kind
did
of
you
stuff.
sell for a mage? Is that what you tried to
So
sell
that
3?
the idea was I sold it with I want to buy a mage. I do think we'll see a drop in Genesis prices at the start of season 2 due to there is going to be a pay gate. So I can't imagine
that's a good point.
All 1,800 heroes or whatever are going to want to pay the $20 a month.
It's only $20, and
but
the
yeah,
heroes
so
were $150. I think that's not going to stop anybody who's playing.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe,
so I think it might, but I also have 2 Rift shards that I haven't sold.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So I'm sitting on that too. That I do plan on minting those for season 2, and my goal is to have 3 going into season 2. But I've got a ranger and a warrior right now.
I'm using my shards for marketing. I have 2 friends already that are going to be playing my shard heroes, or have told me, yeah, sure, friends, I'll play it, whatever.
Which friends?
You don't know. I have other friends, Maddie. No, but I'm planning on using them for that, where I'll mint something.
Yeah, that's a
like,
cool idea.
Hey, play it. You have to pay the $20 fee to get in, but
here's your hero.
Because I initially proposed it as like a game piece is $150, and I got laughed at. So, yeah.
I mean, if you're not in the Web3 world, like that is kind of a big deal to be like, this isn't the game. It's just a player in the game. Like, it's tough. I mean, because like games are what, like $60 new.
I mean, on Steam these days, like $15 for a game?
Well, like
Dwarf Fortress is $19.99 if anyone wants to play.
You've been chilling that game.
We don't. Yeah.
But I mean, like, I think if people aren't in the Web3 world and they hear that price, I think it's still a big kind of barrier, for someone who's played games in the past and doesn't know about Web3 and stuff like that. I think that's still going to be a barrier. It's not against the team on their prices because I think they weren't that bad, but like I think that's going to be a problem for everybody in this industry across the board. Is like if that's your entry level, that's tough.
I mean, but we have to remember that's the entry level for the Gen Zeros. Like that's
true. That's a good point. Yeah.
Think about Gen Zeros.
Most people don't even know what that is or like.
Yeah.
Even crypto people outside of DFK don't really know like Gen Zeros. Like you know.
Like, okay, this is the picture that I pay $10,000 for, right?
yeah.
But it could summon other pictures, so it's super valuable. Gaia, do you want me to put this up on the screen?
Yeah, you can throw this up. So this is Claudia Brown. This is the hero that
That's
I sold.
a cool name.
I love that name.
And so she did have 14 strength, but she had 10 quickness.
No, it
Oh,
wasn't this
wow.
one.
It wasn't this one.
So
Tad and I
This is
had a
what you have-
conversation
this is what you
about it.
have currently, right?
so
Yeah,
Mona
this is what we have
Coulson, I still own, has 16 strength and 8 quickness.
Did it not sell? Did you?
So I had
might have had it
Mona
listed.
listed. I think I might have listed her for like 15 seconds below floor, and then I was
Okay.
like, "Oh shit, she has 16 strength. I need to pull her off,"
Okay.
and that's what I ended up doing.
So yeah, I mean, again, I'll say I thought the levels stayed for a while, and so I didn't understand why people were so concerned with base stats, because I was like, yeah, but after a few levels, it evens out and stuff like that. So I wasn't really looking at the base stats.
Yeah.
But now I'm
I-
focused on them.
I always thought they reset. So the fact OpenSea has base stats is like awesome because that's going to be a core piece to the game too.
Because it's not anywhere in the game screen. You
Maddie, you're
can find that.
Did
mic
I
is
miss this at
having
all?
it.
Did we talk about this? I'd be curious to hear from iOS Code and Tad. What are your thoughts on the stats that are not the core stat of the class? Agility,
We haven't talked
wisdom,
about that. So am I good?
and agility and wisdom for a warrior, for instance. Like, do you care about that stat at all?
For me, like I mean, my opinion, I guess, in general in this season is that it doesn't seem like they matter much, but I think that they are going to probably make them matter more with the way that they're revamping some of the skills, which is cool.
Nice.
Yeah, that's correct because he showed JB had showed was it Firebolt? I think a Firebolt the
yeah,
level
he showed
one.
a little hint. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was basically scaled off, I think, wisdom or something. So they're gonna start scaling the skills off of the stats. So it's gonna make for unique builds. And I think was it Bob Nothing that when he was on Grady's, he was talking about how each level up point is like 0.2%. And it's kind of really, I don't know. I just felt like it wasn't worth it to go anything else but charisma and quickness. But then I had a warrior that I went just agility on. And I think at the end of the season, I ended up having like 3 or 4% more crit than the other heroes, which is it's not really much because of the gear gives you like if you roll, 4% on a gear and it's the same thing as all little level ups you just wasted from inception. So
Franz and I were having this conversation.
Mike's still
texting, I
bad.
think
Unbelievable,
I think
man.
the off stats are.
Oh, he's
completely
powering
useless.
He's not even listening to us at this point.
Does it sound bad?
Yeah,
He's
you're
doing the
still
thing.
bad.
God damn
And
it.
just so you guys want to know, since they gave me screen, someone else has one. There are now 2 fireballs available on the market.
Which one
Before-
is yours? The
The
ridiculously
one that's
priced one or the
ridiculously
slightly
priced
less ridiculously
at
priced one?
I haven't even
at
seen it.
$200?
You haven't seen
Computers
this?
are going to
Seth?
shoot.
I didn't know there was a fireball. Dude,
Yeah,
Mage has
it's
Am I good now?
You're good
yes,
now.
you are.
Yeah, so I had
Yeah,
a
Fireball was like
uh,
warrior-
2 days ago or 3 days ago, right?
Yeah. So my warrior got to a point where I had this weird predicament in my flow where I probably needed to go back and redo quests like I was level 17 debating going into the boss fights, but I had 5 experience left to hit level 18. So it's like, all right, do I level up to level 18, go back, level up, and then go to the boss fight? So I ended up doing that. And ended up finishing the day off with my quests and ended up getting a fireball for like my last quest,
That's
which
awesome.
is pretty cool.
And so for people who haven't seen Fireball yet, it takes 4 skill points and it deals 2d8 damage. So it rolls 2 8-sided die and deals an additional 1d6 per round for the next 4 rounds. It's
And it's 4
absurdly good.
4 points too, not 5
Wait, what?
for the 4 skill points.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
4
was gonna
skill
say
points.
most of those are. Well, what's the sniper one? What's the points on
3.
the sniper for? It's only
3,
three.
which is I think sniper paired with the adhesive application is like nuts. It's just that you have to actually.
Oh yeah.
You have to
'Cause you
actually
need to
hit.
hit.
But once you hit, Rangers they hit like a
Yeah.
truck. But so with paired with adhesive application, I think it's nuts. But by itself, it's pretty good. It's pretty good by itself.
I think it's only. I mean, I still think custom poisons might be the Ranger best, but
I think Insidious Distraction has to be. It does
Yeah.
so
Custom
much
poisons
damage.
needs to be less points. Needs to be the 4 points maybe.
Yeah, Insidious does so much damage. It's like on all my Rangers that had it, it was the boss was just cakewalk. I tried to do it with just adhesive application and no Insidious Distraction, and I couldn't even do it until I switched over.
So yeah, Bob's making the point. You can't spam it like Insidious because you're then not getting the full effect of it. I like Insidious Distraction a lot because I roll quickness big time. I forget who it was. I think it was Tad that said before either charisma or quickness is where you're putting your skill points because of the off stats not being as good. I don't even put charisma in that category. It's all quickness as the second stat for me, unless Thunderous Bellow, which where's that, which procs off of, or it increases your hero parry by a percent amount equal to their charisma. So that would be a reason to go with the charisma. I think and I think it sounds like this is what they're doing, but they need more skills that proc off of different stats, because when it's just one or two, it's so easy to just look at that one. It's like, all right, well, that's what I'm going to build around, and I don't have anything else to worry about.
Well, and I want to go back to sort of like initially when we started this conversation of the off stats. Like if it's not whatever, it's not the main stat for the class, I see no reason to do it, to put any level up points in the off stats whatsoever.
In current state, I agree, but it sounds like there's going to be changes made in season.
I mean, because it's fractions. It's such a small increase to the.
So would you put them in HP over that?
I would do quickness, because I think quickness has such.
All right, so say you roll a 4, right, and that gives you 6 skill points.
Yep.
Are you using the?
I'm going quickness and then probably charisma, because because there is a function in game, I feel, especially for Ranger, where like hit points are going to be meh no matter what, and I'm not going to be able to increase them that much with the stats that I get. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Maybe if I was playing a warrior, it'd be a different story. But for Ranger, I'm going with quickness and charisma, because on the off chance that maybe I do a charisma check and win, why not?
Yeah, if I knew what I knew now, I probably would go HP. Honestly, I had HP on one of my guys from like 10 plus, and I was started to go HP on him. It was my warrior, and I think that warrior has like 230 HP or something. He doesn't really have any HP items. He has some good, and I think I didn't value HP because I'm like, dang, to 1 for 2 points. It's like it's really you're really getting, what I'm saying, smashed right there. And it's not
so,
really worth it. But then I'm like, as I'm going past the season, I'm ending the season, and on the boss fight, I'm looking at my warriors, and they're like 200 HP, and my Rangers are like 170.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
it's a big difference when
if
you hit for 30 or 40.
Yeah, if I could have been 190 on the Ranger.
Could you have been though? I mean, that would have been.
You would have to go 2 every time.
A lot of skill points.
And you're sacrificing quickness probably.
Yeah, you would sacrifice 1, but you would go 2 every time you roll. Probably a 5
or better, right?
Yeah.
Or you probably have to do 2 or better, I think.
So,
Guy, you were saying something about Fireball before we went off on a tangent there.
Just my discovery of getting that skill point. I remember it now. I was level 18, but I had gone back to Dark Tower, but I hadn't minted the skill yet, so I had to waste I don't remember this story at all.
So, all right, so you had it before you camped, and then you went to the Dark Tower and didn't camp with it. So then you bailed.
You mean peaks first off?
Correct. Isn't it Dark Tower?
No, Dark Tower is
the final one.
Yeah, so I was in Dark Tower when I found the skill book.
Oh,
you went back and then went back to Dark Tower.
It was my last last quest of the day is when I found the skill book. And so this is what it was. I was level 17.
Guys, this is going to be good. Trust me, this is going to be good.
Just wait.
This is going to be good.
It's worth it. So I was level 17. Last quest of the day, I found the skill book. And so the next day I was like, do I fight the boss? I shouldn't fight the boss because I
No.
haven't minted my skill book
Yeah.
yet.
Okay.
Do I keep fighting
Woo.
and level up
Oh,
to
'cause you
level
couldn't-
18 and then go? But then if I camp, I still have 8 quests left over. Do I camp and lose those 8 quests as well
Yeah.
to lock in my NFT?
I would have.
So what I ended up doing was I leveled up at the Dark Tower, did my last quest before like getting to that max XP. I did the daily quest in the Dark Tower. Then I went back to the old zone, leveled up, did the daily quest in that zone, went and did the Griffin quest as well. And then so the Griffin quest, which is 1 move, and then went back and camped. So I used all my quests, but like it cost me an extra like 8 quests to mint this thing.
Well, and you put yourself at risk potentially. If
Right,
you
like,
screwed
but
up.
like I was very
you were ahead of
conservative,
the
like
level wise. You were
Herbalist,
fine.
like
Yeah.
Herbalist was being used very loosely to make sure I didn't lose the skill, which worked out because it ended up being Fireball.
I think you hit on a good point there though about the Griffin and the idea. I feel like everyone was kind of out on daily quests towards the end.
Yeah.
I definitely was, but where they're really useful is when you're backtracking to either
Right.
heal or to more often to level up.
Item exchange, maybe.
Yeah, I mean so that if you go 2 daily quests back, 2 zones back,
It's not worth
still,
it. Yeah.
it's still under level. But if you go 1 back, it's typically you could still get that XP. So I was doing that sometimes where I was going back to level with still 1 off from the full XP 2 level and hitting that Griffin.
Can we just talk about this right now?
Yeah,
Man,
Grady, stop
this-
dying.
How much this kills me? This kills me.
Well,
when I got
It killed
my
him more.
when I got my
More.
good. When I got my skill, I immediately found a camp as fast as I could.
You gotta think about it in terms of ratios, though, Matty. That's only like 1% of his drops.
Right.
And he has if he has a million, fair, I guess. Yeah.
iOS is throwing whale shots at Grady.
Yeah,
On stream.
That's the thing about having a lot of heroes. though.
I have a question about the Griffin, though. Do you guys think that the Griffin was the chonker of the daily bosses?
Yes.
Well, was there a
think-
daily in
yeah.
Zone 5? I didn't
Well,
know.
nobody
Yeah, it
did
was. It was.
I barely anyone did it.
Really? I did it every single day after.
Did you?
Yeah, because the dailies
Afterward,
have, the dailies have the dailies have bonus NFT drops.
Right.
Mhm.
So bonus.
Right, but what percentage of players beat the final boss, and then we're doing
Oh,
I mean, it was like that's 12 people. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. How did you think? If you say it like that, yeah.
Was it the Peaks Zone too that like when you first entered it, like you were fighting a lot of heroes that were like 4 or 5 levels higher than you? That was one of those zones that was like you hit kind of a wall from a progression.
The
aspect.
3 to 4.
Yeah.
Was that wall?
Yeah, that was the biggest. That was kind of the hardest zone because you had to waste a lot for healing. You had to either do the run strategy when you fought a level 17 Grizzly Bear, or you had to decide.
Oh,
who
that
to fight
Grizzly
it.
Bear, man.
And I didn't realize until that was when the strategy came in play about the stashing, because it was so hard on all of the other heroes in that zone. And by the time my hero that basically had the stash gear went into that zone, I was running through it, and it was just like, okay, I was basically running through it until I fought the zone boss, and so I was just like, yeah.
Yeah, it's
All right.
3 and 4 was the biggest kind of issue that I faced. Zones 3 and 4, big time.
I mean, I just when I was playing with my one hero,
Oh,
I didn't touch.
Matty, you're
I
the
didn't touch
worst.
the
You're the
stairs.
worst, Matty. What are you doing to your mic?
It happened again.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start a
You-
GoFundMe to just
you're
get you a
fired.
new mic.
You'll
You know
fund
what?
me.
Oh, don't do that.
Help
People
all
should
of our viewing
pay.
experience. But also probably
Well,
a great point that you were gonna make there. What? Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I was going to bring up our final topic, and that is suggestions / improvements for season 2.
Do
we
our guests wanna lead off?
No, you.
That's
I got a few.
It's a good question. Honestly, the only thing I have is the same thing, but I don't know if they talked about it, and I don't know. I would say I know a lot of people want this, but I don't think they should focus on perpetual play. Like, I think what the thing about perpetual is that what happens is, okay, if they have perpetual while they have the seasons going on, all it does is it makes a lot of strategies. You get a full run through of the whole game, so you can optimize your strategy, right? And it's just like, I mean, unless they make it a whole different talk of the game,
Yeah, it would
I don't
need
know.
to be a different map.
It has to be like a different everything, and
I
they're already.
So I was gonna say just very quickly. I think I don't know if you guys have played Hearthstone at all. Hearthstone did a really interesting thing, which I think this game could do, but also you would need to have the numbers that Hearthstone has for this to be successful, and they're nowhere near that. I mean, Hearthstone's millions of players or whatever, but Hearthstone has the standard mode and then wild mode, where standard mode is like whatever card set is current. It's limited. Where wild mode is just like open for whatever. And so I think doing something like that, we're having like literally 2 tracks of the game completely, doing the perpetual as almost like a completely different game mode. And like those heroes that are in that one cannot be eligible for the heroes in the other one. Maybe they could do that. But again, you'd have to have way more numbers of players for that to be successful, because each one would just be like pulling from the other one, and it wouldn't be as much fun, I don't think,
Yeah. I think go for it.
Okay, yeah, and I was just gonna say real quick, the only thing I think I see they could do is like at the end of the season, I think they even talked about this, do like limited, like maybe like do like another version of a boss, like 75 or 100 quests, nothing too crazy to where you get so much of an advantage, and then speed run there, and then we just have a PvP with all our heroes, with all their current gear, all our current stats, and it's just like a Royal Rumble style.
That's fun.
And then just do something like that at the end of the season, and then that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think Bob made a good point that competitive entrance, if the perpetual exists, there'll be less of the competitive entrance there. I like the idea of a speed run, and I think maybe we need to get a few seasons under our belt first, but using previous maps for, a speed run, or when they get to enough to the point where they can kind of mix and match zones, maybe, kind of more at will. But I would love to have like a Saturday where it's like, all right, you get, or not even put a limit on the quests. Just you have a maximum amount of quests, and it's whoever finishes with the least amount.
Here's 1,000. And
yeah, sure.
Yeah, you don't
Whatever,
even have to throw
like
a number
a large
on it, right?
cap.
Yeah, and like
well, the only issue with no number on it is maybe those speed runs don't allow for NFT fines. You don't want to flood the skill books and
absolutely
from that perspective.
Yeah, make it a prize with maybe NFT drops based on the rankings, where like you get one if you're in the top,
not even just the cash like they have now, like the
stuff like that. iOS code, what's up?
For me, I feel like I mean, talk about like alternate gameplay modes and stuff is cool, and like I think that'll be good, but I think it might be premature right now. I think they really need to focus on like dialing in the current first game mode that they've launched, just to be, just get a feel for it. I think, they're already going to revamp the skills. I think that's really important. And I think hopefully that's going to, balance out like some of the stat choices and making some of those matter more. But I think they need to do that. And I think also they need to not be afraid to change things up on people, for progressive seasons, because it can't get stale. Like to keep this core gameplay mode that they have launched as the core one to be interesting and fun and not be formulated and solved. They gotta throw curveballs at people every season and change things up.
That's what 100%. That's what keeps people coming back. Of like, you don't want to get in that mentality of like, all right, log in, click the buttons. Okay, I'm done for the day.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot like another game we all like to play.
All right, we've shit on enough for one night.
No, but Strands, I want to bring up something you talked about, I think, with Grady, and the last time you were on with him about the like different paths. Like,
yes.
Just talk about that like really briefly, because I really like that idea.
Yeah, I meant to write that in the suggestion channel. I didn't. But yeah, the idea of not just having one way to get to the final boss, right? At say, if you're picturing it in terms of this season, right? Say after the forest, you have kind of a fork in the road, and you can go one of two ways to different zones. And maybe one is longer with easier mobs, and the other is shorter with more difficult ones. Maybe there's no herbalists in the next zone, one path. There's an adventuring guild in the other. Who knows, right? We shouldn't know is the point. But I think that would add a lot to it.
I think it'd be super cool. I really
Bloater
like
would like that. Honestly, you should talk to Bloater about that. He would like that. He's one of those like quirky. He likes those quirky ideas like that.
Yeah, because I think like it gets to a point towards the end where like we all know, because we all talk so much and because of shows like this and all the other streams that are out there, all the alpha and all the knowledge kind of gets dispersed towards everyone. The more that you can make it so that we're seeing different things, we're thinking different things, I think it would be better. And then from there, like, I mean, it doesn't just have to be one fork in the road, Like, just keep.
Well, from there,
expanding the
I love the idea of different goals, alternate goals, where
Mission complete versus mission accomplished. What?
Right? Yeah, like one path leads you to that final boss, but then one path leads you to higher NFTs, but no chance at the leaderboard. Like that would be super interesting, and stuff like that I think would be very cool. And they can manipulate that and change however you want. Maybe there's a secondary prize pool for if you finish path B, like stuff like that. The sky's the limit. I mean, they could really manipulate it and make it really cool, I think.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway is that the initial product that they put out is a lot of fun. So now from here, it's just how well and how quickly and how they could expand on it. So I'm excited.
No, totally. And also, too, I want to comment, I believe it was Bob Nothing on that same Grady stream with you. Bob said he was going to share any alpha he finds immediately. So Tad, I know you have a different opinion on that, I think.
And I try to, but it's just like there's certain stuff that I kept a secret. Like the orb, I had to keep that a secret. I didn't hear nobody mention it. I didn't hear nobody.
That one was wild.
And I'm just
I thought Bloater was kidding when he said it.
No, when he said it, I'm like, what? I'm like, Bloater really has not said much stuff at all. And I'm just like, he's really giving this out. But I guess it's on some, like, I'm saying, nobody really noticed it. I think he slipped up. I think it's just when you ask devs good questions, they just slip up and give you alpha.
Right.
I personally think it might have been a bug to start, and him saying it was maybe a cover. That's my own little.
I don't know.
I got my tinfoil hat on.
Since day
that would be a really weird bug.
Yeah. That's
well, the fact that it's only 50% of the time makes me.
Well, no, but that means it was.
That's what makes it weird.
There was added code in, right? iOS code, like that means they added that in to make sure it happened.
Talk about code, like you
No,
know.
but like that doesn't happen randomly. Like,
I think Maddie's intuition is correct. It's like it would be less weird if it happened all the time, but like
yes, yeah.
But it's a chance. Like you would have to like specifically like make that happen.
If you weren't here and Maddie was saying that, I'd argue with him. But now I'm.
All right, iOS code. You're now officially on every episode.
Maddie Defender.
Yeah, there you
love
go.
It. That's what I need.
He needs it.
Yeah, I think Franz is.
I'll never defend your mic though.
I think Franz's best thing was what he said about when you have too many heroes. I think you take more risks. I think and it's just like sizing down is probably better.
Yeah.
And because I noticed that even with Grady talking about the 6 NFTs he lost, right? I just feel like when you have so many heroes, you just start moving too fast. Because there was days where if I didn't plan out what I was gonna do, like I'm rushing home, like okay, my timer's up, let me go home and play, and I didn't write out, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And there's times where I done messed up. I was like, oh, I was supposed to stash this at I was supposed to camp at Zero Quest in the zone before and go back, and then I didn't camp for that NFT that day, and then I'm saying now I'm like I gotta be careful the next day, and or just like I maybe wasted stuff, wasted going forward, and then have to come back and stuff like that. So
I think that's a very fair point, and also I think for me with one hero that never happened. I'm not gonna lie to you, that never happened.
Yeah, see,
but it reminds me of DFK a little bit. I know I've bought like multiple like pairs on the market, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna level them up to level 10, and then I'm going to dark summon them or summon them. They're going to be an awesome thing. And then I put them in my bot account, and I, shout out DFK Helper. It's great. I put it on there, and then I just it's like that's gone forever because I'm never going to remember that those two were specifically bought to be dark summoned. I think it is kind of similar to that of like, I have over 200 heroes now. Like it's going to get lost in the shuffle.
Did you see what Dr. Taraj said? He said he has a spreadsheet of every single thing that he does on a daily basis.
I'm planning to do that next year.
And he's monitoring.
I've already set up the spreadsheet.
That it's we'll like, okay, he did that first season and he already came out number 1. And it's like when you just see that, it's just like, okay, maybe that is a strategy. I just can't see myself doing
it's a lot of work
a day. No, not even that. The spreadsheet thing I can understand. Yeah. I mean, I record the stuff, so it's not the spreadsheet, but if I need to look back over, I can. But I just can't see myself not healing on certain. I mean, when you get to the later zones, I understand it. Because on the later zones, when I have like 3 quests left, okay, that makes sense. But are you doing that? He's definitely doing
like
that.
Day 1.
7 quests left. You know what I'm saying? Like when he's in the position when he had 7 quests. Because in those zone 4s, when I really think about it, that was the smartest time to do it. And I wasn't doing it. I was going back and healing and coming back.
Exactly.
And that was the biggest points where you could have done that and saved probably, a bunch of quests doing that. And I'm like, dang, it's just, but I really enjoyed, playing. And I guess he probably missed out on skill books that way too. So.
Well, it's a hard call too, because like, I don't know, for me, like I was afraid like I wasn't going to be able to level my hero up high enough to be able to beat Abaddon. So it's like, you're also like worried about that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true too. You started day 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, I think that's legit. I do want to bring up, Guy, I know you love spreadsheets just in general. What are your thoughts on spreadsheets and gaming here? Are you inclined to do some spreadsheets here?
It's interesting because you kind of get back to like the third-party dev, what's on blockchain, what's not. Like, I would love to be able to see some third-party devs build some stuff, but that access isn't available.
No.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yet.
But yeah, to a point about alpha and wait, did you have more there? Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I'll probably build a spreadsheet for season 2. I actually did a lot of season 1. I played mobile, which probably wasn't the best thing, but that makes creating a spreadsheet difficult.
Yeah, no, I'm planning. We'll see how far into the month it lasts, but I'm planning to track every single quest, what mob I faced, what prefix it had, starting HP, ending HP.
Oh no.
I'm planning. We'll see.
It won't last long. It won't.
Grand aspirations, but
Hands is having 0 fun next season.
Exactly. This isn't about fun, and that goes back to what I was saying about the.
Catch me in zone 3 farming skill books, man.
Yeah, serious. No, but back to the idea of like Bob saying, "Oh, he's going to reveal all his alpha." Tad keeping some things close to the chest. Like, this was the beta season. This was fun. Tad beat me. Ductorus beat me. Big Maori Chief. Like I want to win next season. Screw you guys. I'm not
cancel
saying
the podcast.
Shit.
Cancel
this podcast is going to be boring.
If it was no money involved, I would want to win. So I understand. Like there's certain stuff, and I think a lot of people are going 0 Dark 30 on the next watch. They're gonna throw curveballs because JB really doesn't like when it's easy. You can tell just by how he's
it gets on his nerves.
Yeah, when he realized how much like Kung Fu was, because they watched his video 100% because Bloater was like, when he put I really don't like how I'm just watching Kung Fu and he's just changing charisma gear in the middle of every persuasion encounter. He's like, I think this is too easy. And you could tell when we're talking about the flea stuff, it's irritating like JB. And he got so mad. He's like, yeah, I'm nerfing flea because he really wants people to struggle, and I like that about him. Like he wants it to be hard. Like I think when somebody dies and he sees the death counter, he smiles. Like, but I like that because that's how the game is supposed to be. I want it to be challenging. I was happy that I thought I was gonna beat the boss on every one of my heroes, and one of my mages just kept getting, smashed. And I was just like, I kind of like that it was actually hard this season. It was fun.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I want an expanded leaderboard next season. Just seeing the top 10.
Thing. I agree.
I want the whole thing.
I agree.
Maybe not the whole thing, but at least top 50. and we need to see deaths next to it. I want to be able to laugh at people
that's fun.
when there's
Yeah.
like 9 deaths next to one of their heroes.
I told you, my guy only death was literally the last quest he could have possibly taken today.
So at that point, you were like, whatever.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm proud of that. I feel like that's a cool stat. Like,
I had one hero that I ended up selling a few days ago, or trading for a mage a few days ago, that had died like 6 times.
that's amazing.
Like I kept sending them back in, just kept dying.
Why not? Yeah,
It was very freeing.
we have
to
4
get rid
at
of
4. Why not? Yeah.
I was like, you know what, this guy's not making it onto the leaderboard.
Maybe there'll be a special prize for most deaths.
Well, then,
Yeah, a
then you're
pity
getting
prize.
people spamming death. Well, actually, it's
Hey,
kind of fun.
if they pay
Can
the
you?
registration fee, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Let them die all they want.
You get a mental knit skill book.
There you go, a little heal.
Oh, that's how you get the like initial skill books. That's interesting.
You want grapple? Huh?
Yeah, sure. I
Ted
mean,
needs it, so.
whoever, why'd that guy die? Anyways, all right, cool. This has been super fun. I think we're gonna wrap up. Some final comments. Season 1 is ended. We have the 5th place and the 3rd place finishers here. So, guys, give me your final thoughts. Kind of like quick thing. We'll go around the horn. iOS Code. What were your thoughts on this new game and how they did?
Yeah, I think they knocked it out of the park. And I'm really excited for season 2. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with the whole thing, and yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. So
awesome. I agree. Tad, what do you got?
I like the game. I think they hit on basically creating a game, and I think that what I just noticed is that we like stuff like this. We like to play stuff even in primitive form. And I think, what I'm saying, to all Web3 platforms out there, if you give your community a primitive form of something, they will eat it up like, what I'm saying, like crazy. Because if we just go back to DFK with Fight Club, right? We loved that. We all loved Fight Club. I'm saying? We enjoyed it when we played it, and it was pretty primitive. It was in depth, but it was just, I'm saying, it was primitive. It was in depth though. And so, but it's like anything that you can just give that's like something to play, it's just going to be good. And I think that's what they did a good job on, giving us something to play.
Very good. And also congrats, Tad, on the 3rd place finish. All right, Guy, what do you got?
Excited for season 2. Ready to beat France. Hashtag don't die.
Wow.
Do we want a little internal box side?
Yeah, that great
Yeah.
egg that Maddie owes me.
We'll talk about that.
No, there was a different bet.
All right,
I won
all
a
right.
different bet, and it's owed to me, I think.
I said that.
France,
my turn?
fifth place finish. First, let's give the props. Props are due to Fran, so I want to give them to him because it's important for him to hear this.
I need it.
He was the first to beat the boss, which is very impressive. So great job, Franz. Great job. Ended 5th because a couple of people kind of snuck in, including Tad here. But what are your finishing thoughts here on season 1 and on Dragon's Crossing?
Yeah, very excited. It's even with a simple game, like Tad was saying, even with a simple game, there's strategy, and that's all we need. Give us choices, give us strategy, give us a way to try to find an edge, and we as a community are gonna enjoy that and want more of that. And Fight Club was also brought up, and Guy, I know you were saying you might want to mention this, but Alchemy, the new game that Fight Club became. I was
Colin, it's the same guy created, right? Yeah.
Yes. I was in the tournament this past Sunday. I got stomped by 2 people I've never heard of, so they're getting some new players in there. It's a lot of fun. It's got a few more wrinkles than Fight Club. I'm going to be playing more of it, so it's a good time.
we'll do another episode. We'll talk about it. All right. That is all we have. This has
What
been
are your thoughts?
my thoughts.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I didn't do my thoughts. I really liked it. I think it's very cool right now and it's very fun and I like it. I hope, and I think they are. I mean, they've said this. This isn't like I hope they do more. Like, I know they're going to do more, and I'm excited for this game to expand. I think if it stays where it's at, I think it's going to get kind of stagnant. But I think they've said they're gonna build out more. They're going to be doing more options and more kind of game modes and stuff like that. And I'm ready for that because I think just at a core, like this basic dice rolling thing, like it's super fun. And so if they can build something bigger on top of it, I'm so excited for it. Whatever. I don't know. All right. But this has been an episode of Bogside Chats. It was a very special episode where we talked about Dragon's Crossing. I'm so glad we got to have our guest on, iOS Code and Tad. iOS Code, where are people finding you? Obviously, DFK history. Is that all?
Yeah.
Is that all I'll be shouting out? That's it?
Yeah. Use my tools, DFK history, Lila's Ledger. iOS Code on Twitter. And if you see any of my heroes that you like,
I always see that name. I always see Mellow Green Giant. And I'm like, maybe I should buy it. I don't know.
You should.
Tad, where can people find you?
I'm everywhere and nowhere. I'm like air. Find me anywhere.
Oh shit. That was it? Okay, that's all I was gonna say. All right, great. Love it. Thank you. My name is Matty Pesk for Franz and for Guy Kid. This has been Bogside Chats. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.